Everybody, welcome to the live. So today we have a very special live, and that is you're going to join us in seeing the creation of the Carnivore meatballs. So Brandon is going to be working on that today. I am just got everything set up here. We're waiting for him. He's doing some last minute things. But I will show you what we have for ingredients right now. So we have cheese. We have 4 pounds of hamburger. We have, I'm not sure how many pounds of bacon here. It's already been cooked, so that's something that we do. We pre-cook the bacon. And then we have all of the grease from the bacon right here that we will put back into it. And then we've got our Redmond's salt here. So, and it will also have 2 eggs in it. So that's the basic ingredients for this is just ground beef, cheese if you want it, bacon, and eggs, and then salt. And that is it, and it is just absolutely delicious. So it's going to be exciting to show you guys how to make it. It is very simple. So set you guys here. So I will probably be adjusting this a little bit while he's working on it, just to help you guys see, but then to help you see his head and stuff like that. So we'll probably be moving stuff around. Things won't just be stable this time. So, and I am hopeful that everything sounds good because I am not watching it right now. Okay, yep, sounds like the sound is just fine. So I'm gonna go turn a fan off once he comes back here. But how is everyone's Sunday going so far? For us, it has been incredibly foggy because of how warm it is. We have not seen the sun in a very long time. But, I mean, I like how warm it is. It's been staying consistently right around in the 30s. I don't mind, but I'm also not outside doing chores. So he kind of minds a little bit with how muddy it's getting already. Right?
Yeah, I'm fed up with that. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the farm. We are going to be, as she said, I think I heard you say, we're going to be making some carnivore meatballs.
Yep.
That's all right down here, so we're going to have to adjust the camera.
I have shown them.
Okay. I mean,
But I can continue to show it as we make.
yeah, we just need
forward.
to adjust it as we
There
make
we
it.
go.
So, carnivore meatballs are one of our favorites, but yeah, outside it is really messy. It is so muddy. It's a muddy, mushy, squishy, sloppy, slimy mess out there, and it's like we're getting spring early. Only this is gonna go away. It's gonna get really cold again. We're not gonna have 35 to 40 degree temperatures the rest of this winter for sure. I mean, it's only almost February, so we've got what, another 3 months of winter basically. February, March, April, so May is usually our spring. Labor Day is when we can usually get out and plant, but that's just the way it is, I guess, this year. We're getting spring early. It's a fake surprise spring. Very uncharacteristically warm days, but it's just one of those additional challenges to test your resolve. So let's get down to business here. The first thing I like to do is get my cheese shredded up. So I do have a little chunk here, and we are going to cut another block off this big block of cheese. Having a nice sharp knife really helps. I like to put about 1 pound of cheese in there, so let's see, we'll go right about here. This recipe at these proportions calls for 4 pounds of ground beef. We're going to use 2 pounds of our really extra fatty ground beef that we ground ourselves from a cow that we bought. And then we've got a couple pounds of ground beef from a grass-fed steer that is very lean. I have 4 pounds of bacon that we already cooked up. We already baked that. That needs to get chopped out. And then I've got all the grease left over from that bacon as well. We're gonna mix all of that in. So let's get to shredding our cheese quick. Other than the prep, this is very easy to make. It just takes that time. So
You're losing it.
get all of our cheese shredded up here real quick. One of those nice shredders that can go either way, and I've never cut myself on this. It's a nice cut resistant shredder. This cheese feels a little warm, and it hasn't been out that long. Either that or it's a really soft cheese.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a Colby Jack, not a cheddar.
I'm gonna need a bowl.
Yeah,
This
I was
is
gonna
getting
say, you're
really
getting
full really
stuffed.
fast. So how's the weather there with everybody else? Let's see, we've got one watch. Okay. You have to let us know in the comments how your weather is going. I don't know if it's like this everywhere. I know we have people that watch from Alabama, Michigan,
Yep, Wisconsin,
Wisconsin. So
Minnesota.
you'll have to let us know what your weather is like around there, where you're at. I imagine Minnesota is very similar to our weather here. Probably uncharacteristically warm. But you know what? It's all right. I can't decide what I think is better though, whether it's really, really cold like we had recently in the negatives, teens and even 20s. Well, with the wind chill, got way colder than that, felt way colder than that. And when you're working outside, I'll tell you what, it matters. It matters a lot, that wind chill. But I can't decide whether I like that better, where I have to go around and try to thaw things out just so that I can use the water and our other, doors freezing on our facilities. That's no fun either. I can't decide if that's better or if slopping around in the mud when I know it's going to get cold again. So this isn't like the sacrifice that you make in the spring where, yeah, you deal with it for a couple of weeks, but then, it's going to dry out and everything's going to get better. Regardless, what I do know, whether this is worse or the other thing is worse, freezing cold is worse, I do know that everything's going to be okay. We are eventually going to get through this, back to summer, have cows and sheep and pigs out on pasture, loving that pasture medley that we planted a few years ago. Well, it'll be about 3 years this spring, right?
It will be 4 years this spring.
What?
We moved in 21. So May of 21. So wait, that would be
That's 3 years.
That is 3 years then. So it's our fourth summer. It would be our fourth spring and summer because we moved here in May. So we experienced our first summer before we experienced our first winter.
Okay. Yep, you are right about that. Good enough. So cheese in the bowl. press the cheese in there. And then we need to start chopping our bacon. And our bacon we'll just put right in that bowl there. And I like to make the bacon really, I like to chop it pretty fine, not quite bacon bit size, but not so much that you get a big chunk of, I don't want it so big that we get big chunks of bacon in there. I want it to all kind of be able to mix together and you're not really necessarily be able to tell when you've got a chunk of bacon in a bite of meatball or many pieces. So So what's been going on in your world?
Well, I had a surprisingly pleasant, yet wish it didn't have to happen, root canal. So if you have to have one done, find someone who makes the job that much easier to deal with. But I also got a touch-up done on my tattoo that I got like just after Thane was born, so it's it desperately needed a touch-up because it lost all of its colors. So that was very exciting. It's let's see here, there we go. So that's what it looks like now. It's in the peeling stage, so it's needs lots of moisture. But other than that, Gideon has been kind of fussy today. He is, I don't know. I think he might need some more sleep, but he doesn't want to sleep, so it's making him slightly disagreeable. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? So he was napping, and then he decided to wake up. Yeah, what do you think? Can you say hi to the people? Hi, people. Hi, lovely people. But yeah, he's been doing well. We've all been doing well. Some kids have been coming down with some stuffy noses, but other than that, nothing too bad.
So we just recently learned a lot about root canals because I need to get a root canal or two. She had to get a root canal. We were hoping that she didn't need to with her dentist work, but turned out that one of them was too close to the root. And by the way, one of the reasons that we're doing this whole carnivore thing is because of dental health. It has very little to do with hygiene. It's more so your diet. They don't like to say that because if you fix your diet, well, you're not going to have any cavities for them to fix. But this is pretty well known. It's not taught to your general dentists, but it is something that is fairly well known among those who've really studied. I'm talking about the in academia, have really studied root canals. So we've also learned that traditional root canals can be extremely dangerous. Statistically, these are, you can look this up, you can look into it yourself, but statistically 50% of people who have some sort of heart disease, some sort of catastrophic event regarding or related to heart disease, 50% of those people who die from heart attacks, the bacteria that infects your root canals is found in their heart or around their heart, there's an infection that's found. And so there's at least a correlation. We wouldn't go so far as to say that's the cause of it, but it certainly could be a factor in heart disease. Also, a factor in heart disease is a massive amount of carbohydrates that people eat in the standard American diet. So, what did we do about the root canal? Because traditional root canals, basically, in a very rudimentary, very kind of primitive way, go in with metal tools. Now the best are flexible and they get in there really well and they do their best to clean out, but they're always missing something.
Yep.
They're missing little particles, they're missing decay, they don't get everything out, and so essentially you have an infected, dead but infected tooth that has been somewhat sealed off, but not perfectly sealed off because there's all these little microscopic passageways. There are 3 miles of microscopic and less than microscopic passageways in your teeth. So when you see that little root that they clean out, those canals that they clean out, that ain't it. There is like another 3 miles of passageways that bacteria can hide in. And they don't get it all cleaned out, so it does. Now, when I went in and they talked to me about the root canal, I said, okay, so what is kind of the prognosis here? Once I get the root canal, do you get everything out of there? And they said, oh no, we don't get everything out. There is still stuff that's left behind, but it is our hope that you won't have any issues with it. That your immune system will be strong enough to fight off the infection and that you won't get any issues. However, the problem is there is an infection there that's long lasting, maybe never goes away because they don't get everything out, so bacteria continues to live and thrive in that tooth, and this can cause serious issues, infection in your body that it taxes and burdens your immune system for the rest of your life, weighing it down, making it less efficient to combat other illnesses. And so it's just a huge strain on your immune system. Well, we don't want to deal with that.
It can also cause pain. Like, there are people who we know who've gotten root canals before the traditional way of root canals, and eventually it starts hurting just because of the bacteria that's built up behind all the roots, and like, back in the gum area, but it's like behind all your roots, there's this mass that is all bacteria that's there because of the root canal and what was left over from it. And it starts to hurt people. And so...
Real quick here, we're going to add our bacon grease. Yeah. So we'll just plop that in there. This is cold. So after we baked our bacon at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes in the oven, every time we baked it on a pan, cookie sheet, we poured the grease off and have saved that because we want to add all that good, rich fat to our meatballs. That is our source of energy and a lot of nutrients and some building blocks that your body needs. Fat is extremely important. Our brain is, a high percentage of it is made up of fat. So anyway, go ahead and continue.
So, we've both done our own research on root canals and stuff like that because I knew that there was a good chance that I was going to need one, and then to find out that I did, and then he found out he had possibly 2 that he needed to get done. We did even more research because we knew we didn't just want a root canal because we'd heard enough bad stuff about it. So then we checked it to see if there was any alternatives. And
well, I asked my dentist too.
Yeah.
If she knew of any alternatives. I was like, is there anything better than what you know of or what you have offered me that is there a better way?
Yeah.
And she just said flat out no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but my experience with professionals in the medical industry and dentistry is that they don't know everything. They actually, we're given this amazing tool in our pocket that can access the internet and access nearly limitless information, and our professionals don't know anything compared to what they could know in their field about different alternatives and the best and the latest technology. And maybe it was they don't want to talk about what they don't offer. Okay, but I say you're not doing your patients justice when you don't do that. So I'm not going to my dentist again because they don't know what they're talking about. So we found, passing the baton over to you.
I did do some research, and I know that some people have.
Cheese goes in.
I know some people have their opinions about Dr. McCullough, but I watched a video that he did an interview with another dentist who she was pretty excited to talk about the new things in dentistry when it comes to getting decay out of teeth. There's like this new method that doesn't keep just spreading the decay, because when they use the drill, the decay, it will hang on to that drill, and so as they're drilling the tooth and the decay out, it just keeps moving that decay in, which is why you continue to develop more decay under cavities, because the drill took it there. And so then there's this laser treatment that they're starting where the laser doesn't carry the decay around, it just burns it right off, and then it's clean and it's gone. And then there was a new practice of using, they're calling it the gentle wave. It is a machine that after a root canal is done, what they do is that it then cleans out all of the root stems and cells that are in that tooth that was cleaned using the traditional methods of little tiny brushes or files that they use to pull out all the roots or all the nerves, and then it goes through and just does this massive cleaning. I don't know how best to describe it, but they use some kind of solution that just deep cleans everything down in that. So anything that might have been left over gets grabbed by the water, it gets pushed out.
And they use ultrasound or sound waves of some kind to vibrate and really work stuff out.
Yeah.
So you get that tooth really, really clean. Mm-hmm. Way cleaner than with traditional metal files and tools. And
it's not like a quick, easy little thing. So the traditional root canal, you could expect them to be done in about an hour, hour and a half. But because I found a dentist, or an endodontist who will do that, an endodontist who had the machine for the gentle wave nearby. And so after the root canal process was done, then he got the gentle wave machine hooked up to that tooth, and then it spent another about 15 minutes doing nothing but going through a cleaning cycle. And so it spends a long time pushing water, putting probably some kind of cleaning solution, and everything else that it does to clean out that area.
Now, when you went in for your consultation, he mentioned something about how they normally don't do.
He normally, when people ask for gentle wave, it's usually because it's someone who it's already a dead tooth, and so they just ask, can you clean out the root cells? And then he said most of the other cases he has who comes asking for gentle wave is people who have had a root canal, but now they have bacteria build up and it's causing them pain and it's giving them the difficulties. And so then he goes and pretty much corrects the root canal. So the problems that people have with root canals, he then goes and fixes. And he said that that's the majority of people who come looking for root canals. It was the same thing with that lady who did the interview with Dr. McCullough. She said about 80% of her patient clientele for gentle wave is to fix the root canals that are now growing bacteria and causing issues.
But what you told him I thought was really good, which was, why don't we just do it right the first time?
Yeah.
I just want it done right the first time, right? And how much more expensive was gentle wave than
normal root canal?
The normal root canal. At least what they charged there in a town of 40,000 people, maybe.
Nothing. It was the same price as a root canal.
Okay,
He didn't charge extra for the gentle
charge
wave.
extra, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he should have charged at least a little extra, but
I'm
so
sure that if
depending on
someone
where you
goes
go-
to him, if someone goes to him after getting a root canal and they want him to do, I'm sure he'll charge for that. But because
Yep.
he was doing the root canal, he was already in there, already had the hole open, you know, already had access to my root canals. He's just
Alright.
like, I'm not going to charge you extra.
I
just
forgot to
do
do
it.
salt, so we need to get some salt.
Okay.
That needs to get zeroed out on the scale.
Yep.
Whoa. Okay, in all the excitement, I forgot to add salt, so we're gonna add 2% salt by weight compared to the ground beef.
We do
So-
it in grams?
That was 4 pounds of ground beef, no, ounces.
Okay. So this right here is ounces and
That's
pounds.
fine.
Okay.
No, actually, just ounces we need. Almost there. There you go.
There we go.
So that means we need basically 1.3%. That's going to make it just a touch saltier, but that's fine. We like our salt. So we're going to do 1.3 ounces of salt, and that is going to get us our proper amount of salt. I like to do 2% salt to meat, and
Do I need to take some out?
take a touch out. Yep, that's 1.35. Good. Okay, kind of sprinkle that over there, half of it over it, and I'll mix it up. That's good. Flip it over.
But yeah,
Sprinkle
so
the other half on
so
there.
something that like when he did say normally his clients who ask for the gentle wave, he rarely does it
This
on like, you know, while he's doing the root canal, and so it was almost like he was gonna say, I don't know if I should do it with you because you still need a root canal, but I basically just made the case of you're already in there. Just I want the gentle wave. So when you're done with the root canal, clean it. And so he agreed, and that was fine. So I was very grateful for that. I will say if you have to go to an endodontist, make sure that you like him. I had gone to see another endodontist for consultation as well, and I did not like him whatsoever. So I was very glad that I liked this guy. He had a great bedside manner, was very understanding, had no problem answering my questions, and through the whole process too. I mean, he was great. He was humming and singing along to the music while he was working on my root canal, so it made it feel like that this was no big deal for him, that this wasn't difficult, and he could do it in his sleep if he needed to. So I appreciated it, although some people might find it annoying. I didn't. So.
Would you grab me a pan, cookie sheet? And we need some wax paper. We'll start rolling these into balls while my hands are still messy. Well, I gotta say that this is the fourth time that we've made these this way. We've made them before otherwise, but this has gone really, really smooth. So, besides forgetting the salt, but I think I got that incorporated really well. So hopefully we don't have massive salty portions, and it's all gonna, we also do 2 eggs in this recipe. However, we forgot the eggs. This is sticky enough. I'm not gonna worry about the eggs now at this point. We're gonna just roll our meatballs and go for it. It'll be just fine. This is super sticky, especially with all that grease, bacon.
You need your cookie thing, don't you?
Nope.
No?
I just eyeball them and roll them now. It's messy and takes more time to measure them with that thing. So now the fun part. Making our carnivore cookies. This is these are delicious. And I do have a problem with cookies, sugar. I do have a problem with carbohydrates. I can sit down and eat a whole bag of cookies for nothing. So this is my healthy alternative to cookies as a carnivore. Just carnivore cookies here in ball form. But when I have a craving for any type of sugar, or I have a craving for, let's say, those cookies, I have a craving for anything sweet, I'll just pop some of these in the air fryer. Throw it in the air fryer at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, out comes some steaming hot, delicious meatballs. Or if they're thawed, if they're thawed, then we make them, we do them for 10 minutes. 10 minutes if they're thawed, 15 minutes if they're frozen. So after we get them on this cookie sheet, we're going to get them in the freezer, and we're going to get them frozen. That'll take a few hours, and then we'll take them off the cookie sheet, put them in a bag, throw them back in the freezer, and they will be stored and well preserved for as long as they're going to last in there, which isn't long. These probably won't last us a whole week.
No.
4 pounds, that's not much. You know, I eat 4 pounds of meat in 2 days. So of course, when I make these, I gotta restrain myself and not eat them all in a couple of sittings. But that's not difficult because I'm not addicted to the meat like I am to the carbohydrates. And for anybody who doesn't understand addiction and thinks, oh, you just need to use self-control. What's that? You don't ever tell an addict that they just need to use self-control, and then they can partake of what they're addicted to in moderation. That is just, it doesn't make any sense. And anybody who's ever had any sort of addiction to anything, a real addiction, knows what I'm talking about. You know, so I need to go to I don't, but if there was like a CA meeting, a Carbohydrates Anonymous meeting, there'd be people there like me. So that is why we don't try to moderate, because that is very difficult and kind of runs in our family. It is not unusual for us to sit down and accidentally have a meal of cookies, cake, pie, you know, breakfast. One of my favorite things to have for breakfast is if we had apple crisp or like a peach cobbler left over, pop a big old portion of that in the microwave, grab a glass of milk or coffee, cup of coffee, and wouldn't need breakfast after that. But all right, so we are about half done with one sheet here. This normally makes about 2 sheets or more. Actually, I'm going to throw some meatballs on that pan. We'll get that started. Shouldn't make too much noise, right? Because I actually need to eat. So we will get these done up, started, and then by the time we're done here, hopefully we'll have some meatballs ready to come out.
We should ask the question. So, should we live stream on Super Bowl Sunday, or should we live stream before the Super Bowl?
I personally think we should live stream that Saturday.
Saturday before?
We can't. How about we could live stream the Friday before? Or we could live stream the
Monday after?
Monday after, yeah. I don't know.
How about you guys leave your comments? What do you think we should do?
Yeah, we'll need your opinion on that.
Saturday won't work because the kids and I will be gone. Unless you want to do the live stream on your own.
I could.
So.
We'll see. But I guess if they all say live stream on Super Bowl Sunday, then we might
Yeah,
do that.
well, I mean,
I'll just be really disappointed if nobody shows up
yeah.
because we interrupted the Super Bowl to go try to live stream. But so if you're saying we should do it, go ahead and do it on Super Bowl Sunday. I will be expecting to see you there. I'm not a huge football fan. Really, I'm not a fan at all. However, I do like kind of the tradition of everybody getting together, having some food. This year, for me, it would be probably these meatballs and maybe
some wings.
Maybe some wings. No sauce, of course. And then let's see here. And by the way, no sauce wings are actually delicious once you get over your addiction. At least to the point where you're okay with not having as much seasoning and sauces and stuff like that. They're actually very good if you get good chicken like we raise here. But maybe even some buffalo chicken dip isn't really carnivore, and you definitely can't have chips with it. But really the only thing that's not carnivore there is the, about a half cup or a cup of. Oh, well, you also have the ranch dressing. I forgot about that. And there's canola oil in there. So yeah, we probably wouldn't do the buffalo chicken dip. That is kind of that is so very 2000s, isn't it? That's 20 years ago. It was cool. We liked it. We would actually make it, and that would be.
It's delicious.
It would be a meal sometimes, to be honest. I was really bad, but it'd be a meal sometimes. All right, so we'll continue making meatballs for this one. Delaney, do you want to come and grab this and throw that in the air fryer? 10 minutes at 400 degrees. That's because they're thawed. Yeah, these are having no problem whatsoever staying together. And I think once we get those out, we'll see that they have no problem whatsoever staying in their shape. So normally I put 2 eggs in here, but I think maybe we're gonna get away without using eggs, which would be really awesome because we're really low on eggs. Anybody else who has chickens? Raise your hand. Who else is having problems with chickens laying? We are. And we found out why. It's because we were giving them about half the feed that they needed during the winter. And I was just kind of out of it with all this brain fog stuff and not really fully paying attention to everything going on here. That's not my primary responsibility, though it is my primary responsibility to manage things and to be, making sure that everything's running smoothly, but I delegate that. So it is nobody's fault but mine, because I should have known, I should have been paying attention. And I am paying attention to those kinds of things now, but the brain fog has begun to clear. That reminds me too, I talk sometimes like everything is perfect now after basically strict carnivore for almost a month. Oh, suddenly my life has changed and I'm 100%. Well, no, it's not. It's a lot better than it was, but I've got a long ways to go. So getting back to chickens. Our chickens stopped laying for about 3-4 weeks, basically just completely stopped laying. We actually had to buy eggs the other day. However, we got 6 eggs this morning. Did we get any more since then?
We've gotten 11 eggs so far.
Oh,
today.
awesome. Got 11 eggs so far. So 10% or more. Actually, that's more than 10% of the chickens that we have. 10% of our chickens are laying again, which is sweet. Because and I felt bad that we were underfeeding them, but they were really getting enough feed. They just didn't get quite enough to keep up with their laying. So they got a little break there. but we need them to keep producing eggs. I know how many people, raise your hand, how many people will let their chickens stop laying during the winter or slow way down and just, like that's natural. We want them to do that. We want to give them a break. We like our chickens. We want to take care of them. I've got no problem with that, but how many of you do that? Let me know in the comments if you take and let your chickens naturally stop in the winter, if they're even a breed that will do that. Ours are not a breed that normally do that. They just were not getting full feed. So now that they're on full feed, they've picked back up with laying, or they've started to, and hopefully we don't have to buy another dozen organic free-range eggs, because my goodness, we're not feeding these chickens for no reason. Like, they're not pets. They got work to do. Of course, they need to get paid for the work, so I guess we weren't paying them full wages, and they figured they were gonna withhold work from us, but that's okay. You live and you learn, make mistakes, move on. No chickens died in the learning of this lesson, so that is always a plus. But now we just know, everybody knows, feed your chickens more in the winter, especially when it gets as cold as it does here. And they may have stopped laying anyway, as cold as it got, but they wouldn't have all stopped laying. Like we were basically, we've got almost 100 chickens, and we basically got 1% of them were laying. 1 to 4% of them were laying. So we'd get 1 to 4 eggs a day. If we were lucky, we got 3 or 4. If there was probably a day too where we didn't get any eggs. I think there was a day where we got no eggs, right?
Yeah, there's 2 days, and if we didn't get out there and catch them, we'd have frozen broken ones too.
Yeah, that was the other thing too, with these really that cold snap that we had, which lasted like 10 days. If we didn't get out there right away, like checking it every half hour for eggs, and even still sometimes then, you check, and a half hour later you go back out and you find 3 frozen eggs. So that really cut down on the amount of eggs we were getting as well. Because even though they were still laying 2 or 3 here or there, if you didn't get out there and get them, they were gone. Dog food. Good for the dogs. They got lots of eggs. Yeah, we feed our dogs eggs anyway, but when the chickens begin to withhold eggs, we don't feed them as much. But then when it freezes, they usually get them anyway. So with the carnivore diet, we eat beef, bacon, eggs, and butter. That is our primary, the primary staples of our diet: beef, bacon, eggs, and butter. And a little bit of dairy, a little bit of cheese.
Can you get another baking sheet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if anybody needs to take care of business, they can use the office downstairs, if you know what I mean. The office equipment in our office there is kind of loud.
You can use that
Oh, we
paper over
went
there
through
to use,
almost
so just
all
go
the
get
meat
the
already. So this made less meatballs. So I did think that we possibly had less than. Yeah, I'm almost certain now, because these feel a lot more easy to keep together. They're a lot easier to keep together. So that means we've got more beef than bacon. Usually, what it feels like is you got to kind of mold them together, and this is just, what was on that?
Same thing, it's just been out of the freezer, so maybe a new one, or
Yeah,
flip it
a
upside
different one,
down.
because that could be bad. But yeah, I do think that some of that bacon got used. Some of the bacon got used, and we have less than 4 pounds of bacon in this. That's okay. More beef to bacon ratio is fine. Some people wonder about bacon, and I'm not talking about people that are not initiated in the carnivore world, and not the knowledge of how carnivore works, but I'm talking about people on the carnivore diet. I think some of them are a little concerned about bacon, and bacon is really okay. I haven't decided yet if it's right for us or not, but we've been going through about a pound of bacon a day, and then we go through, maybe not quite a pound a day, we've cut back a lot actually, so half a pound of bacon a day. And then we usually go through about 4 or 5 pounds of beef, or the equivalent weight in something else like eggs, pork, roast, or chicken. So we do all the meats. Oh, and seafood too. We try to get some fish, we try to get some shrimp. But we're not eating that every day for sure, because that's expensive, especially when you live in the interior of the U.S. You're not getting a whole lot of seafood at seaside, oceanside prices, right? So try to be frugal and buy the seafood in a cost-effective manner when we do get it. And that's probably something that we're going to keep eating, but our goal is to basically get 100% of our own food, to be able to raise 100% of our own food on this farm. Our goal is to raise 100% of our own meat, which that's all we eat. Beef, bacon, eggs, and chicken,
turkey,
pork, turkey, quail,
duck.
Just what we have access to around here easily enough, and what we can raise ourselves. So that's primarily what our diet consists of. We do supplement electrolytes, we supplement minerals, and we're going to supplement a new mineral. We're going to add an additional large amount of another mineral to our diet. I got a book called Iodine, Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It. And this book, I'll show this to you in a second, is written by David Brownstein, MD. So a doctor who had 17 years of practice and has written 13 books, I believe. So besides the iodine book, he's written books on low carb, he's written books on salting your way to health. He's written a whole bunch of books, like books on arthritis. I think he wrote a book on diabetes, but a really fantastic book so far. I'm 3 chapters in. I wanted to just sit down and read the entire thing in one day. I've learned so much though in just 3 chapters about iodine deficiency. I've learned a ton about why we need it, what it does, what it prevents, and how we are extremely deficient in it, and how we've gotten deficient in it. A couple of reasons why we're deficient in it is because of the farming practices, which basically strip mine the ground, deplete the minerals, and then also the wasteful way in which we are losing topsoil. We really need to get to cover cropping. If we're going to keep monocropping like this, we need cover crops out in these fields, so we're not losing our extremely precious topsoil, which is going to be, at the rate that it's being depleted, is going to be completely gone in, I think the last figure I thought I heard was 50 years. You might think, well, what's the big deal, 50 years? Okay, well, I guess I'm not talking to you then. I'm talking to people who actually care about the future, care about their children and the world that they're going to leave behind for them. And I'm not like a big environmentalist. I'm a responsible stewardist of the world that we have. And just the reality of the situation is, if we keep monocropping the way that we have, depleting the soil of minerals, not replenishing those, not doing anything like cover cropping to get minerals back in the ground, not ever having anything graze the ground, then we're going to be in a really bad position in a number of years. And I like to eat, I like to eat a lot. And I don't necessarily like the exact system that we have, but it's what we've got right now, right? So we got to be able to keep using that for the time being. I think things can get better, But getting back to iodine, all right, so monocropping the way that we do, kind of strip mining the ground for minerals, of its minerals, and never replenishing them, and also losing precious topsoil that contains a lot of minerals. That's one way that we are iodine deficient. Another way that we're iodine deficient is because bromine, which is in almost all baked goods, breads, pastries, stuff like that, it's a dough conditioner. That used to be iodine that they put in there as a dough conditioner. But then some crazy Yahoo thought, oh, well, I wonder if iodine's safe. And they wondered if iodine was safe so loudly for 10 years, they finally got it removed from our baked goods, and instead they put the highly toxic bromine in there that has no therapeutic beneficial use whatsoever for the human body. It's just a dough conditioner to make the bread and the pastries taste better, I guess, to be more appealing to our palate. But bromine competes with iodine. So the same cells and the same organs that, can you stop standing there in the camera shaking your head? The same organs that and the same cells that absorb iodine lose their capacity to absorb iodine when instead they absorb bromine or fluoride or chlorine. These are all halides. And halides all compete with each other to be absorbed by your body. They're all toxic except for iodine, which is anti-carcinogenic and a whole bunch of other things. No, can you go? Go. You're shaking the table. So, thank you. So, all of these things are extremely toxic to our body, except for iodine, right? Iodine actually helps us detox from these things. So the more iodine we have in our body, the more easily it can compete with the bromine, chlorine, and fluoride. The less heavy metals we have in our body, the better, right? So iodine is extremely beneficial. I'm not going to go into a lot more detail other than to say if you have experienced fatigue, infertility, you're just cold all the time, hair loss, unexplained weight gain, sudden weight gain, can't lose weight, if you are suffering from any thyroid issues, if you're experiencing any of these iodine related symptoms, and there's a whole bunch more, but I'll let you read the book yourself sometime, and it is definitely worth its weight in gold. It's at least worth the $27.99 or whatever it was to purchase it. So yeah, my hands are messy. You show them the book. That be the book. Iodine, Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It. It also causes, iodine deficiency also causes goiter. This doctor believes that it helps prevent cancer and a whole host of other issues. Iodine is not simply something that our thyroid needs to function properly and that we need just to stave off goiter, which is a swollen neck, and especially like right here in the front. The benefits of a healthy amount of iodine, now you can get too much from what I've learned, but the benefits from a healthy amount of iodine are going to shock you. Like what you're missing out on without not having enough iodine. It is necessary for every single cell of the body. Every single cell of the body has an iodine receptor which exchanges sodium for iodine. So if you're worried about too much salt, which you shouldn't be because salt is a really good thing if you're eating the right kind of salt, which he also talks about in this book. You don't want the refined salt that has iodine in it. You want to supplement your iodine from a natural source, not get it in your salt. But if you are at all concerned about salt and you're like, nope, I'm never gonna eat too much salt, I'm gonna restrict my salt, this actually causes your cells to exchange a sodium molecule for an iodine molecule. And that's may be a benefit to some people out there. But we're not concerned about salt. We're actually concerned about getting enough salt. And the best kind of salt he recommends, actually, we use Redmond's. We use Redmond's real salt. We also use Celtic salt, gray Celtic sea salt. It's unrefined. It has a lot of minerals in it. And there's some debate between whether Celtic sea salt is the best or whether Redmond's salt, which comes from an ancient inland ocean in Utah, I believe. So they're mining it from the ground. It's been locked away from chemicals, locked away from the plastics and the mercury that's in our oceans modernly. But all that to say, check it out. Check out the book, Iodine, Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It. It's by Dr. David Brownstein, and it might just change your life. It may just be it may just be that missing bit of information that you've been looking for all of your life. Now, if anybody out there is trying carnivore, hopefully some of the information that we've shared is helpful here. This is changing our lives. I have a lot more energy. I know that I have a long ways to go and I could use some more energy. This is why I'm getting iodine, and we're going to start dosing ourselves with iodine. It's not something to be afraid of, according to Dr. Brownstein. You got to take a lot before it could even be dangerous. Way more than you'd want to. This is why we're doing all of this, though, is because we're feeling better, we're getting healthier. Dry skin, I forgot to mention, dry skin is another factor that can be caused by an iodine deficiency. But my dry skin is beginning to go away. I think once we hit it hard with the iodine, it's just going to disappear. Just people say that's what happens, like within a week or so. They have fully functioning skin cells that are not dying off too fast. So, hopefully this kind of information is helpful. I know it's really been helpful to us. The best way that I've found so far in my 40 years on this earth, thank the good Lord for those, but the best way I've found to get healthy so far, and we've tried a lot of things and we've done a lot of research on different things, is carnivore diet, because you get all of your vitamins, all of your minerals. Maybe you can be a little deficient in folate, but if you add some organ in, and maybe you don't even need to do that, but if you add some organ in, you're getting more folate. However, what a person who eats the standard American diet needs for folate may not be what the person who's on carnivore needs for folate. See, the problem is all of these markers that we have as far as what are healthy levels of this, that, or the other vitamin in our bodies, this is all based on a person who's eating a highly addictive, dangerous, and damaging diet. So they need certain levels just to maintain the unhealthy lifestyle that they're living. If you're healthy, if you're getting good meat, if you're getting good fat, you're getting all your vitamins and your minerals from your meat, and in the initial buildup for your body, the time that you need for your body to transition, you need to also keep, that's enough meatballs, nobody get any more meatballs. You need to make sure that you're getting the minerals that you need, so you got to supplement those at first. At least we definitely needed to. We felt I felt personally, because I got started on this journey before everybody else, kind of easing into it over the course of 2 months. But I definitely realized at some point I was deficient in something, I needed something more. So what I did is I did some research, found out that some people need to supplement minerals, some people need to supplement electrolytes starting out because their body hasn't completely switched over, and their body isn't getting everything out of the meat and the fat that it needs. And it's a big change. 40 years, standard American diet, right? A healthy, balanced American diet. And I've done a lot of damage to this body, so it's gonna take some time. took me a long time to get to this point. It's going to take me a long time to get out of this. But the good news is there's lifelong carnivores who have been eating this way. It's sustainable. You can eat this way the rest of your life. And so you got the rest of your life to fix these problems. And it shouldn't take as long to get out of the problems as it did to get into them. Unless you got to the point of no return and you're always going to have this issue. Carnivore can still make it better. According to testimonials, these are anecdotal, but there's so many anecdotes now today. I mean, there's thousands of people basically putting their testimony out on YouTube. You just find it. There's going to be thousands of these things that you can find, and that's a really great thing, right? The more individual people that we have who are sharing this information. Hey, I said use the office downstairs.
You did?
Yeah. So, the more people that we can get to, well, not that I want people to try it just to see if it works, right? But people are trying it. And the more people that share their story, the more we're going to know. And it's going to be more than an anecdote at that point, right? Because it's going to be at least at the level of epidemiology. It's going to be a behavioral study at that point. When you get enough people living and eating a certain way, you're going to have at least that level of credibility. And so that's one of the reasons that we're talking about this so much. And it's really the reason why we started our farm here, is because we wanted the best food we could possibly eat. We wanted to be able to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient. And so this has not, we haven't had 100% of this plan figured out since the beginning, but pieces of the plan have been falling into place as we've been living and working on this farm over the last 3 years. So, here we go. Off into the, off on a great start in the new year. And hopefully you get a chance to try these meatballs, whether you want to go carnivore or not. They are awesome. And my hands are dirty. So somebody needs to fill in until, actually, how long have we been going? Oh yeah, just over an hour. So that's it, folks. We'll wrap it up. I'll go get cleaned up and I'll eat my meatballs. But y'all take care, stay safe, hug somebody, God bless. Everything is going to be okay. Peace.